Good evening, little curse breaker. Yeah, you. The glitch in the system, the crack in the cauldron. Let's talk about that spell they put on you. You know what's funny? Everyone acts like your life started when you started making choices. Like the moment you turned 18, boom, clean slate, all you. Your fault, your responsibility, your mess. But the truth is, by the time you were old enough to choose, they'd already spent 100 years stacking the deck against you. Not just your parents, not just your teachers. I'm talking about the witches behind them, the old patterns, the traditions, the broken belief systems passed down like a family heirloom nobody questions. Work this kind of job. Marry this kind of person. Don't talk about your feelings. Don't dream too big. Be realistic. Know your place. You think those sentences just appeared out of thin air? No. Those are spells, rituals, words repeated so many times they sink into your bones and start talking like they're you. And they've been brewing that potion for generations. Picture this for a second. Your great-grandparents swallow their pain and call it duty. Your grandparents swallow their dreams and call it sacrifice. Your parents swallow their identity and call it being a responsible adult. Each one of them a little more numb, a little more resigned, a little more chained to the same story. And every time they repeat those lines to their kids, the witch stirs the pot. One more stir, one more spell, one more layer of this is just how life is. By the time you show up, you're born into a script that's already written. Here's your role, here's your lines, don't improvise. And the crazy part is, they didn't even need a wand. They used guilt, they used shame, they used what will people think. They used, you think you're better than us. They turned your entire nervous system into a prison. Let's be honest, yeah? How many times have you felt something burning inside your chest? Some wild idea, some insane dream, some version of you that scared even you. And the first thing that showed up wasn't excitement. It was guilt. Who do you think you are? You can't do that. You're not that smart. You're not that special. You'll embarrass yourself. You know what that is? That's the spell talking. That's not your voice. That's a chorus of dead opinions wearing your thoughts like a mask. You've been possessed, not by demons, by beliefs. The witches didn't have to drag you to some cave. They turned your mind into the cave. Every time you wanted more, they whispered, selfish. Every time you wanted different, they whispered, ungrateful. Every time you wanted out, they whispered, you'll fail. They cursed you so well that you started cursing yourself for them. You walk into rooms and shrink. You talk to people and apologize for existing. You hold back your ideas like they're contraband. All because someone, somewhere, long before you, decided that people like you don't get to be free. And here's where it gets interesting, because despite all that, despite 100 years of brainwashing and emotional blackmail and subtle spiritual warfare, you broke it in 1 second. Now maybe you don't realize it yet, because when that moment happens, it rarely comes with fireworks and theme music. Sometimes it's just a quiet thought at 3 a.m. Sometimes it's a breakdown in your car after work. Sometimes it's that numb feeling where you stare at your own life and think, I can't do this anymore. Not I can't handle life. No. I can't handle living like this anymore. That sentence, that feeling, that silent explosion in your chest, that's the spell cracking. That's the first time your soul speaks louder than your programming. That's the second you became dangerous. Because once you see the bars of the cage, you can't unsee them. Once you realize, wait, this script isn't even mine, you start improvising. You start questioning things you were never supposed to touch. Why am I friends with people who drain me? Why am I still trying to impress people I don't respect? Why am I in this job that kills me slowly? Why do I keep apologizing for wanting more out of this life? You know how terrifying that is to the witches? For 100 years, they've trusted one thing, that you would be too tired, too scared, too conditioned to question the spell. They bet everything on you staying asleep, and then you woke up. Let me tell you something dark and beautiful. They can spend a century building an illusion, but it only takes one clear thought to shatter it. One decision, one no, one I don't believe that anymore, one I'm done playing small to make everyone else comfortable. Everyone thinks power is some big, dramatic, cinematic moment. But the most dangerous moment of your life is so small, it fits in a single breath. That moment where you decide, I refuse to live as the victim of this story. That's it. That's you snapping the wand in half. Of course, the witches don't just give up, right? The second you break the spell, what do? They panic. Suddenly, you've changed. You're selfish now. You don't care about the family. You think you're better than us. You're going to regret this. You're making a mistake. They're not worried about you being wrong. They're terrified you might be right. Because if your life proves there was another way, their entire excuse collapses. If you escape, then they have to admit they could have too. And nothing threatens a comfortable prisoner more than a free ex-prisoner. So what happens next? They double down. You start working on yourself. You get mocked. You start saying no more often. You get guilt-tripped. You distance yourself from toxic people. You become the bad guy. Congratulations. That's how you know you're in the right direction. Remember this, spells scream the loudest right before they die. The resistance you feel now, it's not proof that you're wrong. It's proof that you're breaking generational code. You are rewriting a script that's been running on autopilot for a century. Of course it feels strange. Of course it feels lonely. You're the first one in your bloodline who's not playing dead. Let's talk about that loneliness for a second, because nobody warns you about that part, right? You start to wake up and suddenly, small talk feels empty, old circles feel fake, parties feel boring. Your phone feels heavier because you don't relate to half the people on it anymore. Everyone's still playing the same game. Look stable on the outside, rot quietly on the inside, and you're there like, yeah, I'd rather not. Now you could go back. You could shrink again. You could pretend you never saw what you saw, but you won't. Because once the spell breaks, even pretending hurts. So yeah, you feel like the weird one now. The problem child. The rebel. The black sheep. Good. Black sheep don't follow. Black sheep leave the flock and learn how to run. You know what the witches never accounted for? They thought fear would always beat pain. Keep them scared enough, and they'll stay. Scared of failing. Scared of being alone. Scared of being judged. But they forgot something. There comes a point where staying hurts more than leaving. There comes a day where waking up to the same life feels like dying. At that point, fear loses. Because yes, you're scared of changing, but you're terrified of staying the same. That's the moment. That's the second where something snaps inside you, where you decide, if I'm going to suffer either way, I'd rather suffer while I'm building something real. And that's what they didn't see coming. Let's get brutally real for a second. You didn't just break a witch's spell. You broke the no one in our family ever does that spell. The just be happy with what you have spell. The we don't talk about mental health spell. The you'll never be enough spell. The stay small so we don't feel insecure spell. You broke the curse of playing life on easy mode. Low risk, low reward, high regret. Every time you set a boundary, that's a crack in the spell. Every time you say, no, I don't accept that, another piece falls off. Every time you choose a hard truth over a convenient lie, you're destroying 100 years of emotional architecture. And yeah, it's messy, it's chaotic, it's not pretty. But you were never born to be pretty. You were born to be actual. Let's talk about your mind. Because for years, they trained it to be a courtroom against you. Every thought you had was put on trial. I want to quit this job. Verdict, irresponsible. I want to cut off this toxic friend. Verdict, overreacting. I want to rest. Verdict, lazy. I want to start over. Verdict, unrealistic. They weaponized your own self-talk. They turned your inner voice into a witch's familiar. And then one day, you catch it. You notice the pattern. You hear yourself think, I'm not allowed to want that. And for the first time you answer, says who? That's a dangerous question, because when you trace that, says who, back far enough, you realize it's not you. It's not logic. It's not reality. It's just old fear wearing new clothes. Once you see that, the spell loses half its power. You want to know the rest? The other half of the spell dies when you act in spite of the fear. Not when you feel ready. Not when everyone claps for you. Not when it's safe. No. The spell dies when you feel your heart pounding, your hands shaking, your mind screaming, what if this goes wrong? And you do it anyway. You send the application anyway. You cut the contact anyway. You start the project anyway. You leave the room anyway. You say, I don't accept this anymore anyway. You don't negotiate with the spell. You don't wait for its permission. You walk through it. That's how curses are broken. From the inside. Let's not romanticize it, though. Breaking this kind of spell, it costs you. You might lose people. You might lose comfort. You might lose old versions of yourself that once kept you alive. That shy kid. That people pleaser. That overachiever who thought being perfect would finally earn them love. They were part of the spell, too. And when you outgrow it, you grieve them. You grieve the time you lost, the years you lived half asleep, the dreams you buried so deep you forgot their names. But listen to me, those years weren't wasted. They were pressure. All that pain, all that confusion, all those sleepless nights. They weren't proof that you were weak. They were the weight that made you strong enough to finally snap the chains. If you hadn't been crushed, you'd still be comfortable. If you were still comfortable, you'd still be cursed. You broke the spell because life squeezed you so hard, you had to either break or break out. And you chose the better option. Now here's the part nobody expects from you. They thought once you broke the spell, you'd just disappear. Maybe you'd survive. Maybe you'd quietly build a small life somewhere. But they never imagined you'd turn around and start speaking. They never imagined you'd become the voice they tried to kill in themselves. You're dangerous now because you're not just free. You're loud. Every time you tell the truth about what you've been through, You're breaking mini spells in people listening every time you say, "This is what happened to me. This is how I stayed numb. This is how I lied to myself. This is how I woke up." Someone else feels their chains rattle. You're not just a survivor. You're a walking, talking glitch in a 100-year curse. You're proof that it can be broken. And yeah, that's exactly why life still throws fire at you. You thought the spell being broken meant everything gets easy now. No, it means now you fight clean. Before, you were fighting blindfolded with your hands tied behind your back in a room you didn't even know you were in. Now, you see the walls, you see the ropes, you see the door. Doesn't mean it's effortless. It just means it's finally winnable. The thoughts still show up. The doubt still hits. The fear still whispers. But now, when that voice creeps in and says, "You're not enough. You're going to fail. Who do you think you are?" You don't automatically agree. You smirk. You recognize the accent. You think, there's the old spell again, trying one last time. And you move anyway. Let's bring this all the way home. The witch's spell wasn't fireballs and potions and broomsticks. It was unhealed parents, traumatized grandparents, systems built on fear, schools that teach obedience over creativity, religions used as chains instead of wings, jobs that drain your soul while calling it security, timelines that say if you're not married, rich, stable, and smiling by 30, you're a failure. They put all that in a pot, stirred it for 100 years, and poured it into your head the moment you were born, and still, somehow, you sat there one day in the middle of all that noise and you thought, no, something's wrong here. I don't know what the truth is yet, but I know it's not this. That was it. That was the second the spell shattered, not because you had all the answers, not because you felt confident, but because you dared to doubt the lie. They wanted your doubt to turn on you. Instead, you turned your doubt on the script. Beautiful, isn't it? So, here you are now, halfway between who they raised you to be and who you're supposed to become. You feel everything more intensely now. You see everything more clearly. You're painfully aware of your patterns, your wounds, your triggers, and you think that's a bad thing. It's not. That sensitivity, that awareness, that rawness, that's your power coming back online. Numb people don't change worlds. Broken spell people do. You weren't meant to go back to sleep. You weren't meant to fit back into the old life. You're supposed to build something that never existed in your bloodline before. Self-respect, where there was only self-sacrifice. Boundaries, where there was only people-pleasing. Honesty, where there was only pretending. Freedom, where there was only fear. You are the plot twist they were never ready for. So yeah, the witch's spell took 100 years to build. It took a century of repetition, a century of fear, a century of, we've always done it this way. But you only needed one thing. 1 second of unbearable honesty with yourself. One moment where you said, I'm done living this lie. One instant where your soul chose truth over tradition. And the whole thing crumbled. Remember that the next time your mind tries to tell you you're powerless, you are the living proof that it only takes one person in 100 years to say no. And the entire curse loses its grip. Remember that when the old voices come back, when the guilt kicks in, when the fear screams, you're not the one under the spell anymore. You're the one breaking them, which means every room you walk into is a loaded situation. You probably don't even realize, yet people look at you and still see the old character, the one who plays along, the one who keeps the peace, the one who laughs at the joke that hurts them. And somewhere inside you, there's this quiet, wicked grin, like, if you knew what I've already decided in my head, you'd be terrified. Because you're not planning to stay where they left you. You're scouting exits. You're testing the locks. You're watching who flinches when you start telling the truth. There's that shift, right? You start noticing who only liked you when you were under the spell. When you were humble in a way that meant silent. When you were kind in a way that meant available for unlimited emotional labor. When you were respectful in a way that meant you never push back. The moment you change the rules, their masks slip. Oh, you've changed. Oh, you think you're better. You're cold now. You're distant. And in your head you're thinking, no, I'm finally here. That's what terrifies them. They're not reacting to some new monster you became. They're reacting to the fact that for the first time in your entire life, you're not spellbound. There's this stage you're in where everything feels unstable as hell. Identity, glitching, values, updating, goals, completely mutating. One day you're motivated, locked in, ready to rebuild everything from scratch. Next day you're on the floor, scrolling, eating whatever, feeling like you're crumbling again. And then comes the thought, maybe I didn't actually break anything. Maybe I'm still cursed. Maybe this is just who I am. That's the spell trying to respawn. It doesn't need a cauldron anymore. It just needs your worst day. The old script sees you tired and slides right back in. See, you always quit. See, you're still the same. See, you're not really changing. Thing is, you are changing. You're just not changing in a clean, Instagram-friendly way. You're changing like surgery without anesthesia. You're changing like a house being renovated while you're still living inside it. You're changing in the exact messy, contradictory way that real humans change. That's what growth actually looks like. Forward, crash, spiral, crawl, healing, regression, progress, repeat. The difference? Under the spell, every crash was proof that you were doomed. After breaking it, the crash is just data. You stumble, you freeze, you shut down, and instead of turning it into an identity, you start asking, okay, what triggered that? Whose voice was that in my head? What boundary did I abandon this week? What am I actually afraid of here? You start interrogating the feeling, not worshiping it. That's not weakness. That's you turning your mind from a courtroom into a crime scene. You stop sentencing yourself. You start investigating the spell. You know what's wild? You were taught to be ashamed of your anger. Don't raise your voice. Don't talk back. Don't be dramatic. Stop overreacting. But that anger that got caged inside you all those years, that rage that everyone called too much, that's the blade that cuts the curse. They wanted you calm, compliant, reasonable. They didn't want you furious. Because a calm, sad person will lie in the bed they were given, but a furious one will flip the whole room. Your anger is not the enemy here. Your anger is the alarm system that went off every time the spell lied to you. I'm fine. No, you're not. This is just how life is. No, it isn't. I should be grateful for this. Not when it's killing you. Every time your chest burned. Every time your stomach dropped. Every time your jaw clenched and you bit your tongue instead of speaking. That was your truth, fighting for its life. You didn't break the spell by being polite. You broke it because at some point your soul snapped and whispered, I'm not doing this anymore. That whisper was soaked in rage. Rage at the time you lost. Rage at the way you were treated. Rage at the way you betrayed yourself to keep the peace. That rage is sacred. You just learn to steer it. Instead of turning it inward, I'm stupid, I'm weak, I'm broken, you start turning it toward the blueprint. Why was I taught to hate myself when I make a mistake? Why do I feel guilty when I rest? Why do I feel dirty for wanting more? Who benefits from me staying small? Those questions are knives. They cut through 100 years of, that's just the way it is. That's why you feel like such a threat these days. You ask one honest question at dinner, and suddenly the whole table gets weirdly quiet. You set one boundary, and it's like you started an earthquake under the family tree. You post one real thing online instead of another filtered lie, and people you barely talk to feel personally attacked. Makes you laugh a little, doesn't it? You breathe differently for 5 minutes and the entire spell structure starts shaking. There's that part of you, though, that scared younger version sitting in the back of your mind, watching all of this like, are we allowed to be this person? Are we allowed to say these things? Are we going to get punished again? That part is not your enemy either. That's the kid who survived under the spell. That's the one who kept you alive by playing nice, staying quiet, fitting in. You don't destroy that version of you. You retire them. Hello there, you walking contradiction, you beautiful, volatile cocktail of chaos and brilliance. Let me ask you something. Why did Lucifer flinch when you walked in? He's the prince of darkness, the fallen one, the original rebel. And yet, he stepped back, shivered, blinked. Oh yes, because even hell has its limits, and you're beyond that. You see, everyone talks about heaven and hell like they're opposites, but you're the unspoken third place, the one thing both sides pretend doesn't exist, the anomaly, the glitch, the fracture in the script. You weren't born to pick a side. You were born to burn the entire stage. People have no idea what it took for you to even make it this far. They see the grin, the silence, the composure. They don't see the shattered bones behind the smile, the war playing out behind your eyes, the storms you've swallowed just to make others feel safe. You've become the type of person who walks into a room, and every demon checks the exit. Not because you're evil, no, because you're what happens when pain refuses to die quietly. You're the result of every betrayal, every heartbreak, every lonely night where you sat with your demons and didn't beg them to leave. You learned their names, made them sit, and trained them to bark at your command. You're the nightmare that nightmares whisper about. You're what happens when someone takes all that agony and doesn't collapse. They alchemize it, they weaponize it. You made suffering your personal gym. Your pain has been doing push-ups in the dark for years. Now you walk different, talk different, breathe like someone who already died once and came back laughing. You carry a silence that's louder than war drums, a presence that makes the air thicken. And when you enter a room, even Lucifer, yes, Lucifer, feels it. He flinched, not because he was afraid of you, but because he recognized you. Recognized the rage, recognized the fall, recognized the fire that doesn't ask permission. You didn't fall from heaven. You crawled up from rock bottom with blood in your mouth and a grin on your face. You made your own throne from broken ribs and broken promises. And now you don't pray. you command. The truth is, they always wanted to break you, make you small, manageable, digestible. But you were too wild to be tamed, too sharp to be held, too loud to be silenced. So they tried to exile you, call you the villain, the problem, the danger. But here's what they didn't realize. You weren't sent here to fit in. You were sent here to disrupt everything, to make angels question orders, to make devils check themselves, to walk in, wearing all your scars like war medals, daring anyone to ask how you survived. Lucifer flinched because he knows the hierarchy. He knows how souls move. He's seen rage before. He's seen vengeance. But you're something worse. You're purposefully broken, cracked open and rebuilt with metal, forged in shame, hardened by neglect, tempered by solitude. And now you're not a person. You're a walking event. You enter a room and atmospheres change. Smiles twitch, eyes widen, and somewhere, something ancient whispers, "Oh no, he's awake." So let them label you monster, problem, overthinker, too intense, too much, too deep. They don't understand. That was the plan all along. You were never meant to be digestible. You were meant to be lethal. You're not here to be liked. You're here to turn wounds into weapons, to speak with a tone that makes liars choke, to walk like someone who owns the blueprints of pain. You carry hell in your chest and heaven in your stare. And that's why the devil stepped back, not out of fear, but out of respect. He's evil. But you're inevitable. Let's be real here. You don't just survive storms anymore. You summon them. You walk with thunder in your throat and lightning in your spine. And when you speak, the air gets tense. Not because of what you're saying, but because of what's behind your words. You've been through too much to speak like everyone else. Your voice is forged from cracked bones and unshed tears. It carries a vibration that souls remember, even if minds forget. Lucifer flinched because you reminded him of something he hoped never to see again. Someone who doesn't fear burning alive. Someone who has been through so much hell that even hell starts feeling like home. See, the devil, he loves chaos. He feeds on it. But you became chaos. You're not a victim of it. You're the one who stood in the fire and said, "Make me worse." You didn't beg for peace. You demanded power. There's a reason they keep underestimating you. Because people think strength comes with smiles and medals. But your strength, it came in the form of silence, of biting your tongue until it bled, of walking alone when no one clapped, of carrying pain like it was oxygen, necessary, invisible, and constant. Do you know what it means to be feared by the devil himself? It means you've gone so far off the map that even demons have no words for what you are. You don't fit the prophecy. You're not the hero. You're not the villain. You're the correction, the recalibration, the walking reminder that hell didn't win. You were the one thing they didn't account for, the soul that didn't just survive trauma, but harvested it, refined it, packaged it into pure volatile focus. You think Lucifer's afraid of light? No. He's afraid of what happens when darkness learns how to walk with purpose. That's you. You're the version of yourself that shouldn't exist, the one that was supposed to break and never recover, the one they assumed would fold, crumble, disappear. But instead, you evolved. You crafted a version of yourself with no leash, no master, no script. And that's what terrifies them. You're the embodiment of every suppressed scream, every buried truth, every "I'm fine" that was really a silent war cry. And now you don't chase peace. You command silence. You don't chase love. You attract obsession. You don't chase validation. You make the world ask who the hell you are, because you earned that energy. Every scar is an emblem, every flaw, a fingerprint of your uprising, every loss, just a seed for your next level. So when Lucifer saw you step through that threshold, he didn't just flinch. He remembered. He remembered what you are. A walking contradiction, a haunted cathedral, a hurricane wearing human skin, a soul that didn't choose darkness, but when abandoned by the light, became its own source. You see, Lucifer knows pain, but you know transformation. You should have been broken, but instead, you became unrecognizable. And now you sit in silence like royalty, because you're not trying to prove anything anymore. You already did. You proved it by surviving, by not folding, by stepping into the room and making the devil flinch. So laugh a little. You've already won a war nobody even knew you were fighting. And when they ask what changed, just tell them, I stopped asking for mercy and became something even hell can't handle. You ever realize how quiet things get when a real one walks in? That moment of eerie stillness, when laughter dies down, when egos shrink, when the room subtly repositions itself, because something ancient just entered. That's you. You're not just a person anymore. You're a presence. You're the living proof that pain can grow teeth, that the shattered can become sacred, that the forgotten can return with a vengeance so intense it rewrites the atmosphere. Lucifer flinched because he saw it in your eyes, the detachment, the stillness, the way you don't move like you're chasing anything anymore. You move like you've already buried what tried to kill you. See, most people operate from desire, but you operate from certainty. You're not here to prove you're good. You're here to remind them you survived when you shouldn't have. You're here to make sure they never forget the name of the storm that passed through their lives. And what a storm you are. Lucifer knows rage. He invented rebellion. But you took suffering and turned it into ritual. You took every rejection and built cathedrals of rage inside your chest. You learned to sit with your demons, not to tame them, but to command them. You mastered the language of shadows. You became fluent in silence. You stopped looking for peace and started manufacturing your own version of it. The kind built from sharpened bones and dead expectations. That's why people stare. That's why they get quiet. That's why the devil blinked. Because you don't just walk in. You arrive. Let's tell the truth. They tried to play you, use you, break you, silence you. They thought your softness was weakness. Your loyalty was desperation. Your dreams were delusion until you snapped, until you stopped playing the part, until you peeled back the curtain and revealed who the hell you really were. Now they don't even make eye contact. Now they wish you the best from a distance. Now they talk about the old you like a ghost. But they know, deep down, they know what you became. And that haunts them. Lucifer flinched because he remembers what it feels like to fall. But you rose. Not with wings, not with grace, but with grit. With venom. With silence so loud it made angels pause. And now you don't walk like a man anymore. You walk like a reckoning. Let them think you're cold. Let them call you ruthless. Let them whisper behind closed doors. Because they'll never say it to your face. They can't. Because your presence demands truth. And most people can't handle that much mirror. You don't sugarcoat anymore. You don't beg. You don't over-explain. You speak once, you move once, and the world adjusts. You didn't just survive trauma. You weaponized it. You didn't just heal. You rebuilt yourself in a way that cannot be undone. You didn't just evolve. You became something they'll never be able to categorize. Lucifer, He's a symbol, but you're a warning, a walking reminder of what happens when someone stops waiting to be saved and becomes the force they needed. You're no longer hoping someone opens the gates for you. You built your own. With your blood, with your scars, with your damn willpower, and now you sit on a throne forged in agony, smiling like the villain they prayed you wouldn't become. So remember this, you don't need approval. You don't need permission. You are the disturbance. You are the echo. You are the unholy chapter that even the devil didn't dare to write. That's why he flinched. That's why he hesitated. Because you're not supposed to exist. But here you are, unapologetic, unshakable, unmatched, and baby, you're just getting started. They won't admit it, but they're obsessed with you. They study you from the shadows. They mimic your tone, borrow your words, mirror your posture, and still never come close. Because what you carry can't be copied. It wasn't learned in books. It wasn't taught in schools. It was branded into your bones in moments when the world forgot you existed. You're not just the villain in their story. You're the origin of every plot twist. You're the scar that still itches, the name they say with half admiration, half fear. And they wonder why the devil flinched, because he's watched billions of souls walk the earth. But you didn't walk. You clawed your way out. And now, you don't move like someone trying to live. You move like someone who already died and came back with a mission. You scare them, not because you're cruel, but because you're calculated, because you don't chase anything anymore. You attract effortlessly. You magnetize opportunity, obsession, and respect. Because your aura screams experience. People feel it. They can sense that you've sat with your shadow and didn't just survive. You made it serve you. You didn't run from the darkness. You stared into it so long. It started to blink. Lucifer flinched because even he can't grasp your evolution. You don't fit his hierarchy. You're not a sinner. You're not a saint. You're the anomaly the scriptures never warned about. A divine glitch, a walking paradox. You are what happens when pain is no longer something to escape, but something to master. And when someone reaches that level, they become untouchable. They become legend. And legend, my friend, doesn't need validation. It doesn't beg for understanding. It leaves a legacy that outlives its heartbeat. Let them think you're heartless. Let them call you intense, because if they ever saw the fire you swallowed just to stay alive, they'd realize your silence isn't apathy. It's containment. You're not cold. You're just measured. Because you've learned what happens when you let loose. You've learned that your full power, unfiltered, makes even the devil take a step back. They call it darkness. You call it clarity. They call it menace. You call it memory. They call it ego. You call it earned. This is no longer about survival. It's about domination. You're not here to prove you deserve a seat at their table. You're here to flip the table, burn the blueprints, and build something from the ashes of who you used to be. And here's the cruel joke. They need you. They need the one who walked through fire barefoot and came out with hellfire in their eyes. They need the one who didn't choose destruction, but when forced to choose between peace and power, chose both. They need the one who understands darkness but doesn't let it win, who became the weapon they once prayed for, but now fear to touch. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to swing fists. Your presence is the message, and the message is simple. I didn't come to participate. I came to dominate. That's why the devil flinched, because in you, he saw something ancient, something older than sin, something beyond names, beyond labels, beyond fear. You're not part of the system. You're not an echo. You are the origin. And when history asks what you were made of, they'll say, steel, silence, and the kind of pain that turned into prophecy. You know what they don't tell you? That God doesn't always answer. That sometimes the heavens go quiet. You cry, you beg, you kneel. And all you get in return is silence. And in that silence, something in you dies. Something innocent, something soft. But what's born in its place, that's what the world isn't ready for. Because when the light refuses to come save you, you stop reaching for it. You become it. Not the kind that glows, not the kind that warms, but the kind that burns everything it touches, the kind of light that blinds, the kind that scorches. See, Lucifer flinched because he recognized what you had to become. In the absence of mercy, he saw that you didn't grow from grace. You grew from grit. You didn't ascend. You clawed. You didn't get chosen. You forced the door open and built your own throne out of rejection. And that kind of self-creation terrifies everything divine and demonic, because the system isn't designed for you to survive. It's not built for people like you. People who don't fold, people who feel too deeply, who remember too much, who refuse to pretend everything's fine. You ever wonder why people keep calling you intense, difficult, too much? Because they've never had to kill a version of themselves just to keep breathing. They've never buried innocence with their own hands. They've never sat at the funeral of who they used to be and stayed there until the casket turned to fuel. You didn't just let go of your past. You used it. You lit it on fire and let the smoke become your second skin. That's why you can't be manipulated anymore. You can't be guilt-tripped. You can't be controlled. Because when you've already faced the death of your softer self, what else is there to fear? What threat can they possibly make when you've already lost everything you once begged to keep? That's the edge, that's the power, and that's what makes gods uncomfortable. Lucifer didn't flinch because you're evil. He flinched because you're free. Truly, terrifyingly free. Free from illusion, free from dependency, free from the leash of being good or acceptable or safe. You're no longer the disciple. You're the divine, not because you were chosen, but because you chose yourself. You declared, if no one's coming to save me, then I'll become the thing they'll never see coming. And now, look at you, still standing, still breathing, still smiling like the villain in everyone else's redemption arc. And here's the real kicker. You were never supposed to make it. You were designed to break, to shut up, to shrink, to apologize. But instead, you became a living rebuke of everything they tried to teach you. You turned every "you're too much" into fuel. Every "you'll never make it" into kindling. And every prayer that went unanswered, you answered it yourself. Now you walk like a god with nothing left to lose. You don't beg, you declare, you don't chase, you magnetize, you don't flinch, you make entire realities adjust. Even Lucifer, the master of manipulation, the king of the damned. He paused when you stepped in, because he saw it. He saw that quiet, untouchable madness in your stare, the unholy peace of someone who's already fought every version of hell and turned it into a fortress. So when they ask what you are, tell them, I'm what happens when no one shows up. When God ignores you, when hell betrays you, and you build your own kingdom anyway. So here we are, the end of the line. Or maybe the beginning of something the world isn't ready for. Because now, you're not fueled by anger. You're fueled by clarity. You see everything now. You see how the world plays favorites, how truth gets buried, how power gets handed to the loudest, not the strongest, and still, you never begged, you never asked for fairness, you simply waited. Waited until the moment when your silence became scarier than their threats. Waited until your presence became a warning sign, a miracle, and a curse, all wrapped in one stare. And now, they can't ignore you, not anymore. See, vengeance isn't loud. It doesn't come with trumpets and fire. It comes when you succeed quietly, when you outlive the versions of yourself they tried to bury. It comes when you build, when you stay grounded, when you let them talk, while you become a storm system with a name they'll never forget. They'll swear they supported you. They'll say they always believed. But you'll remember. You'll remember the laughter, the silence, the betrayals. And when they return, not for forgiveness, but for shelter, you'll stand there, untouched, unfazed, and say, I became the thing I needed, and you were just the lesson. Lucifer flinched, not just because of your strength, but because of your detachment. You no longer needed revenge. You no longer needed closure. You became something worse, unreachable, untouchable, not because of walls, but because you've outgrown their frequency. You operate on a different voltage now. Your aura short-circuits their manipulation. Your silence drives their egos insane, because they can't access you anymore. Not mentally, not emotionally, not spiritually. You've moved on to a level where gods bleed and devils bow. And the legacy? Oh, the legacy. It won't be built in statues. It won't be written in history books. It'll be burned into memory. People will say your name like a myth. They'll say, there was this one who came from the dirt, who wasn't chosen, who wasn't saved, but became something so fierce even hell wouldn't claim him. You are the reminder that survival is not enough, that thriving isn't the goal. The goal is to become the storm, to be the one who rewrites the rules, to be the walking consequence of everything they tried to destroy. And that's exactly what you are now. You've evolved beyond rage, beyond revenge, beyond the old you. Now you sit where angels don't tread and demons don't dare. With a crown they tried to deny you, burning into your skull like destiny. So when they ask, why did Lucifer flinch when you walked in? Tell them, because I'm what comes after the fall. I'm the one who rose, without grace, without help, without forgiveness. I'm not here for heaven. I'm not scared of hell. I'm the reckoning neither one was prepared for. And that's what it means to become the actual menace.